In Exodus 3:14, the Bible said when Moses asked for God's name, God replied him in Hebrew,
Ehye Asher Ehye,
which means I am that I am. And that phrase means I exist because I exist. Now, according to history, the story of Moses and Exodus was written by Israelite authors. Scholars generally believe that Torah, which is the book of Genesis to Deuteronomy, was compiled over centuries, roughly 12th to 5th century BCE, from multiple sources. These authors were members of Israelite communities, recording their history, their laws, and their understanding of God. And that is why it is said in Exodus 3:14 that God spoke to Moses in Hebrew. So it is said that the divine is not a person with a name tag. The divine is existence, life, being, and even consciousness. And I am means you can't contain it with one name, one culture's language, or one religion. And different cultures have their different names for the divine. The Igbos call it Chineke or Chuku. The Yorubas call it Eledumare or Olodumare or Olorun. But it is still called God because it is traditional, familiar, and easy for communication, not because it is the original name. We humans like to claim that we love to learn and unlearn. But when it comes to challenging those things that were taught in our religion, the same religion that we're indoctrinated into, that is where we draw the line and we take a step back.
History. The story of Moses and Exodus to Deuteronomy was written by Moses. Look at there are evidence even from the Bible, and we have archaeological evidence that prove that Moses wrote it. But I don't know. Yes, scholars said it. Yes, in around the 18th centuries. But before then, scholars also from the time of Jesus Christ, have been saying that this law was written by Moses. Look at, I can prove it through biblical proof. Look at, Paul said it in Romans 10 verse 5. For Moses writes about this righteousness, which is of the law. That is Paul saying. Now, Paul, we know that Paul is a scholar, a lawyer, for example, a lawyer in the Jewish law about it. Even Moses also, Moses also wrote about it. Look at Exodus 24 verse 4. And Moses wrote all the word of the Lord. Look at Numbers 33 verse 2. And Moses wrote their going out according to the journey by which the commands by the commandment of the Lord. So God commanded Moses to write it. Yes, scholars wrote it. Yes, they even divided it into 4 places. They called it the Yahweh's, the Elohis, the Deuteronomists, and the priests. So they said that these 4 people, yes, wrote it. These 4 groups wrote it down, but this is wrong. This is totally wrong because the Bible confirms that it was Moses that wrote it. Even the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who are teachers of the law, said that Moses gave them this particular law that they should divorce their wife. But Jesus Christ said that Moses gave it to them because of their hardening of their hearts. So those scholars are wrong. If scholars before then did say that Moses wrote it, then scholars from Europe now said Moses did not write it, all because of they want to contradict the Bible. All these are wrong. And again, if you look at Numbers 33, there is a first person details that Moses wrote it. Yes, Numbers 33 about how they move from Egypt. How they move from Egypt to the land and the mountains. Look at Numbers 33. It explained it a lot. And again, the language that was spoken by Moses, the language that was written in the Torah, there are some borrowed words. There are some borrowed words from Egypt that is in it. Because we all know that Moses went to Egypt. So he studied in their language. He studied in record keeping because Egyptians at that time do keep records a lot. So to also preserve their history, and we can find it through archaeological evidence. So we all know. So we all know that one of the reasons that Moses kept the record was because of he learnt it in Egypt. And there are some borrowed words that Moses used in Egypt. That is in the Torah. So that proves again that Moses wrote it, which later scribes or scholars of the Jewish law will never do. They only write it in the time they are. If linguistic and archaeological evidence could prove that Moses wrote it, then who are these scholars? In the later 19th century, when they're now looking at the language in 19th century, they discovered that it was actually Moses that wrote it. Now, let's talk about God in every culture. Yes, one of the things I want you to know is this. Like what Romans said, that they knew God, but they did not worship him as God. They worship an corruptible image. They represented that corruptible image into an incorruptible image. Yes, all culture. Yes, there's a name for God in every culture. Chuku, Eludumare, Yahweh. Yahweh. And God said to Moses, I am who I am. It means that I am and there's no one like me. I can do whatever I like. I am who I am. I am. Because there's no one like me, I can do whatever I like. In Yoruba, it means Olodumare. The mystery, Olodumare, the owner of everything that can't be limited. That is meaning. And Chuku maker, Chuku, that's not even my culture. I think it means a higher spirit. A higher spirit. A higher spirit. That is meaning. See, all culture have evidence that there is God. All culture have that evidence, knows that there is God. But how to get to God is different. So they all created a God for themselves. Now, one of the reasons what makes me a Christian is this, is because of there's true historical evidence again. Christ came to the world and died for us. Through eyewitnesses. Eyewitness wrote it down that Christ is the Son of God. If you read the book of John, chapter 20, John said that Christ is actually the Son of God. John said that Christ is the Son of God, that he is a living witness. If you look at Luke chapter 1, verse 1 to 3, he talked about he investigated from eyewitnesses. See, this proves it that Jesus Christ is actually the Son of God. All this because of historical evidence. And you see, Jewish historians that wrote about it, or Greek philosophers that wrote about Jesus Christ, about his death, how he died, that the Greek were mocking him. Josephus was writing about how Christianity was, how Jesus Christ was. Is it how Jesus Christ was? There are historical evidence that prove Jesus Christ is real. Yes, but all that culture don't have historical evidence about their gods or everything. But it is embedded in their cultures now that there is God. So they name God based on what they believe it is. Olodumare, Yahweh, it was God that revealed himself to Moses, that his name is Yahweh. But other evidence, how do they know that God is? Based on what their consciousness still remembers. Because their consciousness knows that there's a creator. But how to get to God is not the problem. So they have to create other means of getting to God. They created it by themselves. That is the birth of religion. Thank you. I'm going to work. So God bless you. Amen.